Hello. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate and Stuff. It's your friendly neighborhood hosts, John, Carlos, Brandon, and we have Vince here today, which we'll talk about here in a minute. If you're not following us, please do that. But today we're going to have a very fun conversation. And I'll let Carlos kick it off and introduce Vince here, who is reminded me that I really need to work on my backdrop game. I moved my office a long time ago, and I put this thing up here, which I'm no longer using. And I tried to teal it up, but it's taking the paint off, so I got to repaint and put some fancy things back there. But I'm enjoying your backdrop there, Vince.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, love it, man. Love having Vince on. You guys, if you're on this show, you guys have probably seen CallPorter commercials. Absolutely hilarious, or advertisements. Absolutely hilarious. But
Appreciate it.
Vince, and we don't want to talk all about that. But yeah, tell us a little bit about you, CallPorter. For those of you guys who don't know, I'll give kind of the quick intro. But Vince is with CallPorter, the premier live call answering service for real estate professionals, and really the only one I know of that's US based, which is a big thing for them. But
Yep.
Yeah, Vince, we were all pumped for this when we got you on as a guest. But tell us a little bit about you and CallPorter. Kick things off here.
Yeah. So thanks again for, by the way, for having me on. Definitely love hanging with you guys. And so I, just kind of give me a little background on myself. I don't have a background in real estate, prior to even being a part of CallPorter. I have a background in military and also a middle school teacher. And then I kind of found out that, both military and a middle school teacher, though very honorable, it's a great thing to be a part of, very fulfilling. It just doesn't pay well. So, in the search for, looking at other options in my life, I'm good friends with Ryan Dawsey, who's the owner of this company. He's in real estate and just kind of got into conversations. And then he's like, hey, why don't you come be a part of the team? So, CallPorter, as you mentioned, Carlos, it is a live answering inbound call center for real estate agents and real estate investors. And we are the only one that exists like that in all of the nation.
Very cool. And I want to get in today too. We're even expanding in some other stuff outside of strictly just answering service for CallPorter, as far as what you guys are able to do for the real estate community. And we have a lot of overlap with Investor Fuse and RI Op Center as far as the same customers that we're all serving, which is really cool.
Say that one more time.
Pretty much the overlap that we have between Investor
Fuse, right,
Brandin, and John's company, RI Op Center, of the clients that we all serve. So I think this is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Awesome, man. So talk about US-based answering service, like people that are actually, locally in the United States. Why is that such a big difference than all the other answering services that are overseas?
Yeah. So if you're a local investor, right, you're marketing yourself local, your marketing is local, your branding is local, and someone calls, let's say you have direct mail out and they call your phone number and they get someone who obviously does not sound local, it's quite off-putting. And even if the person offshore speaks good English, it might be perfect English, idioms or everyday language might fly over their head. And I have a perfect example of it, and it's freaking hilarious because when I was talking to a guy who had a VA, and the seller that called into his business was via foreclosure list. So the guy on the phone says, hey, I'm in foreclosure or near foreclosure, and I'm really in the doghouse. Now, how would you and I interpret that saying, I'm in the doghouse?
That you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble. Like the shit's hit the fan. Sorry, can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. And the rep on the phone was like, "Oh my God, you're living in your dog's house."
Oh God.
And so the guy was like, that was when I knew I needed to make a change, because he was like, it was cheaper for me, obviously, to do offshore. And then he ended up calling CallPorter and became a client. So just like that's one story that it always sticks in mind, because that's something that we would know, easily for us, but just flew right over their head. So, but yeah, being a local investor, having someone that's local, that sounds local. We service investors all around the nation. And so that's just, it's super important to get somebody that can speak the language. All of our phone reps are trained in the general aspects of real estate investing. So they walk the walk, they talk the talk, they know the lingo, they know the acronyms, they know all the things.
Yeah.
And so if you were to sign up with CallPorter, there's very little training on your end that you would ever have to do with our phone reps, because they are already trained and very, very capable of processing and qualifying leads.
Love it. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we're talking about like just the difference between, an overseas call answering service versus a United States one. But I think let's start with like actually how important it is that you live answer the phone, right?
For sure.
And I mean, I've worked with a lot of investors and not many of them do, right? And I think there's a lot of different types of leads that get generated, right? So direct mail versus like calling off the website, two different types of leads, both showing interest, but the ones that maybe are getting to via SEO or PPC are expressing search terms of like, I need to sell my house fast. How the hell do I do that? And they're going to call and you don't pick up. What are they doing next?
Going right to the next person on Google.
The next person on Google. And they're going to call them and see what they say. And I mean, we always like in our CRM, in CRM, we talk about speed to lead, right? Like get back to your lead as fast as humanly possible, because those first, minutes are important, and then hours, and then days are important. But yeah, if people would just live answer their phone, I think that they could see some dramatic results. Do you have live answering, Brandon, with your team? I can't remember. I mean, I know that you mostly are doing cold calling, but you've done direct mail in the past.
Yeah, listen, I do. I'm being polite. I do not necessarily agree with what Vince says, so I'm trying to be polite. I'm just gonna say it, man. I mean, yeah, I agree with him to a point. Obviously, if I had my druthers, an American-based caller will always trump, but I also think there's a little bit of racism in there. I'm gonna drop the R word, baby, because this is America. I know guys who actually wholesale and own a company who are Hispanic, I know a guy from Ghana, Nigeria, right? Africa or whatever, who can close deals. And with that accent, you gotta be fucking good, because everyone thinks your money's trapped, right? Like you gotta
sure.
So I think there's a limiting belief, but I think what we have here is a Rolls-Royce style system, which is kind of what Vince and CallPorter is, versus maybe the American, luxury style car. And I'm trying to think of a great analogy, but I can't think of like a Lincoln, or a Cadillac, like a Lincoln or a Cadillac, both equally good in what they do. But you obviously, there's a certain price aspect that you're paying more for, because you want those amenities, in having American people is those amenities. But to answer your question, John, yeah, I mean, my call center answers everything live. Now, I'm not 24/7. That is something I am working to, because I'm also trying to tie my property management call stuff into that as well. But I'm not 24/7 like him. But I read a stat, Vince. They said, and I forget the exact thing, but they said the majority of consumers would rather call your competitor than leave you a voicemail. And there was a certain percentage of that, where if you don't pick up the phone, they would rather hang up with you and call your competitor than leave you a voicemail and wait for your call back. That's how important I think it is. Yeah.
And that's exactly how the company even started. So Ryan, our owner, had mail that was out, was on a date with his wife. The phone rang. She said, "Don't you dare answer that phone." And he's like, "But it could be a deal." She says, "I don't care. I don't care." He didn't pick up. He called maybe a couple hours later, and the guy who answered the phone just said, "Hey, look, if you would have picked up your phone, I would have given this to you, but it went to somebody else," and he lost like 40 grand. And so he's like, "I will never ever allow that to happen again." So he hired a buddy to take his phone calls, and then he had another investor friend that said, "Hey, can I hire your buddy to take my calls too?" And then that got too much, and they got another friend, and then it just kind of snowballed after that. And now we're nationwide and have hundreds of investors using us.
So wait, hang on. Are you guys 24/7?
CallPorter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I mean,
No,
guess
yeah.
we were-
So we're 24/7. That actually happened January 1st of 2022. That's when we went.
Okay, that's probably why I don't realize it.
24/7.
Who did I use? Who's the other company? Shit, there's
Can I name drop competitors, Vince?
There was
Yeah,
somebody.
yeah, absolutely.
Who
Yeah.
was the other?
Ruby Receptionist, Answer First, Pat
Mhm.
Live. Pat
Pat
Live is probably
Live.
like the.
So I used Pat Live and I hated them. I mean, I don't give. We drive
That's
names,
everybody
I
who ever comes to us says that.
Pat Live was the reason why that and Call Geeks, which I hated too, as a call center. So those two reasons is why I started my own. But like, I think there's a point of quality where like, because we all start off the same, right? We all probably start off with the $2, $3 Filipinos, and that just doesn't cut it. I don't care what you're doing. There's got to be some type of language. And your story about Doghouse, yeah, I've encountered that. Like there's some things you can't train out of certain people, but that also leads you on a path to like, for people like me, where it leads you on a path to find the countries that maybe have a better understanding of our culture and our language and our kind of nuances. And that's kind of where we got led to like the Central America area. Mexico is pretty good too, but Central America has been the best for us. But Americans,
we have Spanish speaking reps at CallPorter as well. So, like we don't have a direct line to our Spanish speakers. So like, you can't put a phone number on direct mail and get right to them. Usually they're like transferred over, but like we try to accommodate as best as we can. Once we get into Canada, we'll probably have to get into, French speaking sometime. Yeah.
Whoa. What do you mean into Canada?
So we've had.
Are you allowed to talk about this? Did I just call you out on something?
No.
Vince looked. He's like, I got to check it out.
He's like, oh, it was like I saw like deer in headlights. Like, oh fuck.
No, so we have had clients in Canada, and
are they finding properties in Canada? I'm sorry, are they finding properties in Canada, or are they in Canada finding properties in the U.S.?
They're in Canada finding properties in Canada. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you anything about how the real estate investing world works in Canada. I do know they have some super strange direct mail thing.
They can't pull data. They can't pull data.
Yeah, something like that. So. We've never had to come across somebody saying, "Hey, do you have French speakers?" But we can definitely, take on Canadian clients.
What are you muttering over there, Brandon? Did you not realize that Canadian people speak French?
I was trying to say something in French.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. We've had people come to investor reviews and be like, "Can you support Canadian addresses?" It's slowly happening. Mm-hmm. Australia is another country that is
there you go,
starting to pick up wholesaling.
In Australia, like they're in their country?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could you imagine doing it with the size of their spiders and all the deadly things? Could you imagine doing a trash out in Australia?
No.
Like Australia scares the shit out of me. It's worse than Florida. Like there's shit like have you not seen some of the stuff in Australia?
I haven't.
Like spider webs covering like all the grass, just like I wouldn't. I don't know, man.
Yeah, they've got some of the most deadliest animals per square mile than any country. Yeah, it's crazy.
There's a reason why they dumped all the
British prisoners.
Yeah. Good luck. Jokes on the English because they live. And they created their own country economy right there. Like, yes, thank you.
Oh man, I want to go back to what you were saying, Brandon. And I was having a conversation with a guy last week, somebody I've known for a long time, and we were talking about data because he does some really, I'm not telling a secret, but he does some really interesting things in his local market to find people before data companies does. And so I started talking to him about this data company and their API and some of the things that they're providing customers. And he's like, man, do you think that, these companies, these APIs are going to catch up to me and other people are going to be able to start doing what I'm doing? And so my response to him was, well, who cares what they're going to do? The question is if they're going to implement and they're going to go and actually follow up the leads the way you do, because he actually has a super aggressive door knocking campaign and crushes it, gets to everybody ages before his competitors do, builds amazing report. I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay.
He's in the United States.
Yeah, in the United States. Yeah.
He could tell you. But then
Thanks for narrowing it down, Vince. Okay, guys, this guy's door knocking somewhere in the U.S. Where in the world?
He's
is
a potential
Carmen
call
Sandiego?
porter client.
No, we
He's a
were
potential-
talking about
he's a
Canada
potential
and
call porter
Australia,
client. So it's either Canada or United States.
But what the same thing, right? Like my phrase to him was like, "You're doing things that nobody else is willing to
Not
do,
the
and you're doing it
data.
the right way." But no, hang on. That phrase there is my point about you saying you went out and started to build your cold calling center. Like you're willing, and this is what I want to talk about with CallPorter is like training and how is it that you handle a live answer because some people are like, I can do this, no big deal. I'll go hire, maybe I'll hire locally and do it. But they're not willing to do like the daily like QA of calls, the daily like training of calls. And that's how you can build a successful like in-person calling business, like a call center, versus using somebody like CallPorter that like actually like do those types of things for you. Most people just don't have the
Let me be clear though.
guts to do that.
Okay. So I have a couple things here. One, I just want to say, like, it's not about the data. I hate when everyone talks about data. How fresh is the data? But it's what you do with the data that matters. We all have the
That's
same
what I was saying
data.
to him.
There is no secret sauce, right? So, and that's where Vince is coming in, right? Like actually following up, not missing that $40,000 call while you're at dinner with your wife or girlfriend at the time or whatever it was. And everyone's got stories like that, but if we were to say, would Brandin be better off paying whatever Vince, do you mind if I ask what you charge?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a tier that's as low as $49 a month and a tier that's upwards of $1,249 a month.
How does that work per hour? Like per hour? Like what's your hourly rate?
We're not per hour. So we're a monthly subscription and we're also minutes based. So
minutes based.
In that regard, you'll see if you look at Pat Live or Ruby or Answer Connect, it's the same regard. They have a monthly subscription and they're minutes based. So we get a good idea of what an investor's marketing strategy looks like.
What's your top
to
tier?
off that. Corporate tier, the $1,249 a month.
And what do I get for that?
You get 500 minutes of talk time. You get obviously rapport building, data collection, CRM integration.
How many people?
Appointments.
1, 2.
What do you mean?
Like how many people are answered? Just that's one guy?
No. So it's when the inbound is happening, it's round robin. So you're not always going to get the same phone rep answering your phone because obviously we have our staff that's more towards early mornings and early afternoons. We have our peak business hours, afternoons, overnight staff. So you would never get the same person anyways.
Do you QA?
Question what QA like question
quality assurance you train you quality.
Oh heck yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you QA, you call record everything and review those
everything's
calls.
Everything's is recorded on our end.
I'm sure you have some type of tracker to make sure the employees aren't just like watching not safe for work stuff. I've caught people doing that. Okay. So when you take all this into effect, John, like everything he's doing, you could argue that I would actually save money just hiring him because it's my personality of I like control. Yeah. And I'm willing to do the work. But like when you add in, I have a QA team. I have to have software that records and I pay for that recording storage, right? Like I have to have a shift supervisor. I have to have manager and I'm not even 24/7, which is a whole other cost of a shift that I don't pay for that shift. So like, yeah, I may be paying a lower rate with people from Central America. Like if we start doing tiers or like the cars, right? I may have a Cadillac, but he's got the Rolls Royce. In the end, I may be better off money-wise just paying for him and saying set it and forget it. It really comes down to your personality. It's just not my personality to do that. I like the aspect that I can plug and play different things of my business into it. Even RI Op Center, like I can have those people who call in, they could go. I have that flexibility for customer service with my call center that I wouldn't have with a Pat Live or with CallPorter per se. And I'm sure they could work on it, but people always talk about money spent. Yeah. I would dare to say I might spend more myself rather than just paying him for his American. So it's not about saving money, I guess is what I was getting. I didn't make the decision because I want like to save money. So yeah, I just feel like when I was asking about
I think you're the exception. But most people come into that conversation in their head of like, oh, I need to save money. Yeah. And they don't think about how it costs to do it the same way as a specialized company that's all that they focus in. Right?
Yeah. It started out that way though. And it is cheaper when you start, when you have like one guy. And then when you realize you get above like 3 or 4, Vince knows, when you start getting above like 3 or 4, you need someone to watch them.
Yep.
And then like when you get even more, you need someone to watch the watcher, and then you need someone to like QA and train. And and then at that point, the costs are just it just keeps
for you,
going
Papa
up.
P, what you're talking about, I think it's personality, but it's personality and what you prioritize. And also relative to what else is going on in your business, like what other stuff that you personally, Brandon, would have, like what else you would be spending your own time on or spending time building a team on doing. I think it's also interesting to talk about marketing because, Vince, would you say most of the CallPorter clients are just having inbound from direct mail? I know we want to talk other features, functionality, but like Brandon's mainly cold calling.
Yeah.
Talk about your average CallPorter client.
Direct mail and cold call.
Yeah, because one of my questions is like coming to
have,
CallPorter.
Yeah,
To like the client coming to CallPorter, whether they've never used an answering service, if they've used one of the ones that we've had before, or they just like are just starting off in real estate. Like, hey, I just want someone US based answering this.
Obviously, we have people that are just starting off because they heard about us, they got a W-2 or whatever, and they're like, hey, I can't take my calls. Those do come in, but I would say the grand majority of our clients are those that are serious investors that treat it as a business. They're consistently marketing, so they have consistent leads coming in. And yeah, so that's basically, but I would say we're getting calls off, obviously, direct mail. We're getting calls from TV ads, radio ads.
You don't want to waste
bandit signs, door hangers.
Want to waste those.
I mean, we have clients that if they have a TV ad, rolling out, I mean, they've got to let us know, for one, because we want to be able to accommodate them the best that we can and not have a shock to our system, so to speak, because they put a TV ad. So we know all of these things prior to them even doing them, and they're not locked into a pricing tier either. So if they do begin to scale their marketing, they can upgrade their tier to accommodate what they're doing and such. So
scalable system.
Yeah. So inbound is a part of it, but we can, get to the conversation too, where we have our instant web lead capture and dial system. We also have our fractional lead manager service as well.
Instant web lead capture? What?
Yes. So we have a service called Instant Web Lead Capture and Dial. So you all are very familiar with Investor Carrot. So let's say a client or an investor has a website, has a landing page, right? Someone puts in name, phone number, email, property address. Well, we set up integrations on Carrot's end and also our end, where we can make an outbound call in as little as 90 seconds on average of that lead coming in. So it's all automated at that point. So it comes into our system, attaches to the phone number. My phone rep picks up on it. We know how to actually, say, hey, this is such and such from such and such business. Looks like you inquired online, and they just go right into their spiel. Now, instant web lead capture and dial is not a 24/7 service because it's illegal for us to make calls outside of the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. So
interesting.
Yeah. So we know we know again ahead of time when investors are wanting that service. Like you can schedule your Google ads or your social media ads or however things are coming in. So we tell them like, hey, if someone submits online at 1 a.m., we're not calling them. It goes into a queue.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. So is that because you're a call center? I mean, I don't do PPC. I tried it for a bit, but I mean, is that because you're a call center? I mean, because I can call my own people, right? Because I've called them.
If you want to, yeah, we just legally can't. I don't know
because you're a call center,
right?
But okay, so that was I was curious. I've never heard that rule before. So as an operating service like that, you legally can't. So it would have to be the individual. Okay, wow.
Yeah. So if it did come in after hours, in most cases, it just goes into a queue, and then the next business day, the automation starts up again, and then it does its thing and calls out.
And the client cancel your queue to call because they already called them? Just curious.
They can depending on what the integration is. So sometimes the integration is just as simple as a Zapier to a Google Sheet. And so if the client had access, well, obviously has access to their Google Sheet, and they delete the line,
delete the row.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's a valuable service, though. In under 90 seconds to get to
Well, if you're
an
spending
inbound.
that much money.
Oh yeah, $200 per click.
One of the things is I used to miss a lot of direct mail stuff, and it's really hard when you try calling those people back, because we all know to get people back on the phone is A, difficult, and then B, to remind them as to why. Hey, listen, I sent you. And so even in like Investor Fuse, John's system, like we have, like, we put the name of the postcard, like the color of the postcard, all that. So that way our reps can be like, we had sent you the blue postcard, or you're calling on the blue postcard. But even then they'll be like, what?
What postcard?
You miss it. You miss it completely.
Walk into your kitchen.
It's like a
look on your
straight
table.
cold call back. Yeah. So missing, but you spend so much money even on something like direct mail. The less calls you miss, the better, man. I mean, I feel like whether anybody's using CallPorter or whether it's just their own thing or whatever it is, they got to have that figured out. But at least before they scale, it's impossible to do everything right off the bat, though. Like I think a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, I need this day one." You don't need a day one. Right? You're going to miss calls. It's about, what is it? Like plugging the holes in your boat while you're rowing. It's like, you know what I mean? Like their water's coming in, and once you plug one hole, another one's coming up as you scale. Like it's just a matter of plugging those holes one at a time. And I would say of all the things they have to do, maybe missing calls is probably like a necessary evil of that as they hire and fill out the rest of their systems that they need.
Yeah, and like the Ryan example, not that this is going to be an exact science or number, like he could have lost like that $40K deal, and he's like, okay, I need to plug this right now. But who knows? Maybe if he was spending more time, energy, focus on answering every single call, maybe he would have lost $40K over the span of 6 months. You know,
God damn him for taking his wife out on a date. How dare he? Romance costs money, guys. Romance costs money.
Yeah.
It does.
But like
very good ROI.
Yeah. Getting back to like the answering, like though we're a 24/7 call center, you don't have to set it up that way, because we prefer that our clients come with their own phone providers, whether it be like CallRail or Ring Central, or if your CRM has a phone provider that's attached to it, you can set that schedule up. We have plenty of investors that have an internal team during business hours, taking calls, following up, doing all that stuff. But on nights and weekends, they come over to us because they still want a live answer. We have clients that do a simultaneous ring type of scenario where it hits their team, and after 6 rings, if they don't pick up, it comes over to us because they still don't want it to be missed and they want a live answer in a human connect. So there's all kinds of different ways to set us up that's effective for the investor's budget, what they're looking to do for their schedule, like all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of options.
That is an interesting idea, right? Have it go to your phone first, and then if you don't pick up, have it go. Like you'd be like, you want to save money? Answer the phone. Otherwise, CallPorter is gonna, and I mean, you'll get the lead, but it will cost you money. That's funny. I like that. Interesting. All right. I want to hear about your lead services as that relates to CRM. I have lots of questions about that. But before we do that, I just want to know, what's the day in the life like a CallPorter employee? Because we were talking about like the QA and how you guys work as a team.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys progressively train? Like, what is it that a CallPorter employee is doing to become the Rolls Royce of live answering services?
You like that analogy?
I do.
Yeah. So our COO is the main guy that oversees the call center, and then we also have a general manager and managers within the call center. The hiring process, we usually hire about 3 at a time, knowing that one's going to fall off immediately in the hiring process, and then the two that are left, one of them is going to be better than the other, and we just hire the best one. So we train the reps through our script. They listen to phone calls, obviously, the good, bad, and the ugly. They're listening to everything. They're not even allowed to be on the phone on their own. They're spreading their wings, baby bird out of the nest, until we are 100% sure that they're ready. And the managers are the ones that make that call. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 4 weeks. It could be someone that already has call center experience. So they already know, like, hey, here's what, the ins and outs of what call center life is. But yeah, they're not allowed to even be on the phones. And then when they are on the phones for the first time, every call is recorded and there's someone else on the call listening.
Wow.
So
How long do you guys do that for?
I would have to check with Chris on what that actually looks like. But yeah, so they're trained very well. Most of them work from home, so we've got hardworking Americans working from home they're given very flexible schedules. We have an internal communication through Slack, so our phone reps honestly think of themselves more like family than they do coworkers, because they're always supporting each other. Like, hey, my son's got a baseball game this weekend. I really need to get to it. Who can chime, or who can cover me, that kind of stuff. So really good internal communications between the team. Lots of really good morale. Most of our phone reps are with us on average 2 to 3 years. This is not a high turnover business for us as compared to other call centers, right?
Yeah.
They like being here. We take really good care of them. We pay them competitively. So that answers your question. That's kind of the day-to-day life.
How do you guys keep it interesting? Because being on the phone, answering phone calls is not like, how do you keep it like fun for them?
Yeah, so they get incentives. Yeah, they obviously get incentives on like top 5 performing reps every single week can earn a $150 Visa gift card. We just implemented a bingo game. So if they're like hearing something on the phone call, like if you hear a baby crying, mark it on your bingo, and then they get a bingo, they can win cards.
I'm stealing that idea. I'm writing it down on the whiteboard right now.
Yeah. So like we try to obviously support them as best because a third of the phone calls that come in, and you probably know this, Brandon, are people cussing us out and calling us the devil because somebody got a piece of direct mail. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
You love that? Okay.
I don't get it. Why do they call Walmart and complain? Like, why?
Apparently, yeah, they got nothing else better to do.
It's mail, bro. Throw it out.
The grocery store when they send you coupons.
Yeah, like, how dare you, public?
Yeah.
Never been more insulted in my life.
We've got like a gratitude channel, an appreciations channel. Cool. So we're always asking our clients for feedback too. And anytime that a rep has a win, a client, that sends it to us, we share it with them. Like, hey, so-and-so did a fantastic, booked a call for me, went to the house, I secured a deal. That's like, we love hearing that kind of stuff. And that just really boosts them as well. We have a joke channel, like we just do whatever we can to try to make it as lively as we can.
Love it. Culture is important, especially when you're in like a grain like that.
What's the average age of your callers?
Ooh.
Average age of our callers.
Yeah, like, maybe not average. If you just had to guess, like the age of the people that are calling, do you find it's mostly 20-year-olds, or do you find it's like maybe the 40s, 50-year-olds who like kind of maybe retiring, not much else to do, so they're doing this? Do you find, because I guess I'm saying this because you find like the most able working people are probably between 27 and 40 or something. They're really
okay. So you're talking about our answering. Who's answering? Because we hardly do calling. Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Your reps. I'm sorry, I should have used a different term.
Yeah,
your reps.
They're all mostly in their 20s, 30s.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I was curious of the team's avatar as well, because when you were talking about your background, I was like former military, former teacher. I was kind of thinking of a mix between like kindergarten cop Arnold Schwarzenegger and another military role. So
that was such a good movie.
That was not a too long.
Yeah, like 90s movies were the best.
Dude, Arnold has so many that are just like on HBO and I think mainly like HBO, Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah.
I started Terminator 2 like the first like 10 minutes, but I'm going to wait until I can like sit back and really relax and watch it and enjoy it.
So here's a crazy stat for you guys. You ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have 5 kids.
5 kids? I thought my 3 was a lot.
I'm trying for a 5th, bro. I got my 4th one on the way. I'm trying to convince my wife for a 5th.
One more.
Yeah.
One more, bro. They say five's not the number of the wealthy, is what they say.
Well, I'll take it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to be wealthy for 5 kids.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah.
More people. Come on, guys. Go sign up for
the reason-
CallPorter. We got to support. We got to support the family.
The reason I said 5 kids in the 90s movies is because my 14-year-old and 12-year-old, that's all we've been watching lately are 90s movies because they've just been like
So good.
in love with them, and they're like, this is so awesome. So we just watched Napoleon Dynamite, which is not 90s but early 2000s.
Still the same,
Yeah. And
that's same
and
vibe.
I mean, they were just busting up. They were like, this was good back then.
It wasn't. Napoleon Dynamite kind of the second time I watched it is when I really found it funny, and then the third, and then the fourth. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those movies that the nuances grew on you, and then it became a cult. Yeah. God, those were good. I've made my kids do the same. Watching like with my son, like even 80s. I've gone back because I grew up on 80s and 90s movies. You know what I mean? Like because my uncle and my dad were always showing me the 80s movies with like Sylvester Stallone and like Mel Gibson and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Twins
twins.
with Danny DeVito
and like you had your other like your sports ones like Major League and all those. There were so many classics, dude. And but yeah, that's pretty cool. Congrats on the 5 kids, bro.
Thank you. Yeah.
Keeps life interesting, right?
It does.
There's never ever a dull moment.
What's the youngest?
He's now
I love how he does it.
4 months. 4 months old.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I hope your wife's not watching you. I always have to think about it too. I'm like, oh, when's your son's birthday? I'm like,
Do you ever find when you're like yelling at the kids and you yell at one of them, and you're like, Jackson Park, Clint, whatever your name
mess
is.
up their names all the time. I'll even throw the dog's name in there.
Oh yeah,
Dogs
as well. Yeah.
Shit.
Carlos knows because we were in Phoenix for the carrot retreat, and people kept asking me how old my kids were, and I'd be like, because they're usually always 2 years apart, but then there's like 4 months out of the year where birthdays are that they're like all messed up. So it's like 7, 10, and 12 right now.
I round too. Like I called my son 8 the other day, and he's like, "Dad, I'm 7." I'm like, "Yeah, you're basically 8." Right, it's like it's only 6 months away, bro. Like you're good, dude. Don't worry about it. You're 8, all right. Calm down.
Love it.
Is part of the CallPorter training with these young 20-year-olds? They have to go through like 90s Arnold action movies. And
that
so they can build rapport with. Probably people
honestly,
that are in their 40s, 50s.
Yeah, most of them probably don't even know how to write cursive.
I tried before. It was like the other week or whatever. I was just dicking around in my pad and I was trying to write cursive, and I was like, "How do you do a B?" And I was like, "Wait a second," like lowercase, and I was like, "Wait, how do you do that?" And I was going through them, and I'm like, "Wow, I don't remember any of this."
Yeah,
they don't teach that anymore, man. They don't teach.
My kids are learning it. School my kids go to, they do.
Oh, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do it. They do it private schools because I was a middle school science teacher at a middle school or a private school, and they were still teaching cursive.
Well, my kids go to public school, so it's basically the equivalent of a prison. It is, man. Like the food they serve. My daughter sends me. I almost called my daughter my sister. My daughter sends me a screen like a picture of the food that they serve. I'm like, what's that?
You can't even tell what it is.
It's not. And I've seen pictures of like lunch, like the cafeterias in schools, the cafeterias in prisons. They put side by side, and they do a side by side of the food, and it's like the freaking same, man. That's why my daughter's almost graduated. She'll be graduating next year, so it's pretty much over for her. She survived. She's a survivor of the public school system. But my son,
me too.
I am too. But public school back then. Listen, dude, we had salad bars. We were getting remember you used to look forward to those the big pizzas that you do like pizza day and stuff, and you'd get those big, and it was legit pizza. Like they made pizza. It was just different, man. Like nowadays they don't have that stuff. And you had the big coolers that you could go into with all the ice cream stuff. And if you had
and the milks and the
all that stuff, they don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
It's like
that's my kids are also in public, and we bake all their food. I send them to school with the lunch.
I was gonna say I'd see Brandon as a big bring your own lunch to school dad.
We do a lot, but sometimes my son doesn't want to. My daughter does a lot of times. She'll pack salads and stuff, but it just depends. I don't know, man. It's
Yeah. You got a
it's-
Costco or a Sam's membership?
No. And here's the other thing, Vince. I don't want to get into this with you because we'll go off on a tangent. Everything's out to kill you. Like, I just read an article about the butter that we eat has forever chemicals that cause cancer. So it's like me and my wife have been on this kick of trying to find things that don't kill us, and everything that we think is safe ends up having something in it that kills us.
Probably true.
I don't know if you've gone down that rabbit hole yet, but we've been down that rabbit hole. So,
I mean, we as far as like, preservatives and foods and trying to stay away from the frozen food aisle and trying, if you stay on the perimeter of the grocery store, that's
just go in the middle.
If you get into the middle, that's where you get into the shit. We, I really pride myself of making our food here at home. I love family dinner, so I'm still pretty traditional on that. Like my kids,
100%.
we're sitting around the table, we're eating dinner, no devices at the table, we're talking.
No
about
taking live calls.
No taking live calls.
Better have CallPorter taking your calls when you're at dinner.
No, I think that's huge. I think that's a huge part of it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we do the same family dinners every night, no matter what. Obviously, I share custody with 2 of my kids, but I mean, when they're there, it's family dinners and it's homemade meals. But even then, man, it's tough, like to find the right stuff in the store. That's it's meats and organic and this, and I can only imagine what's in the school's food. So, but in the 90s, we didn't worry about that. But maybe I was listening to a podcast and they called it blissful ignorance. Not that the 90s had any less killing stuff in it. It's that because of the limitation of information, like the limited info flow, like we just were blissfully ignorant of all the shit they were putting in.
Yeah.
So
from the 90s, I ate school food. I mean, check out my dorsal fin. I'm just kidding.
I was all about the drumsticks, dude. Like I would eat the drumsticks. We had vending machines with soda. We had a Powerade one, and we had the one with all the M&Ms and the candy. My daughter says they don't do vending machines anymore. There's no vending machines in schools anymore.
Nope.
I even rigged a way where you put the dollar bill in and then you have the tape. You put Scotch tape on the end of the bill. And when the bill went in, you could pull it back out and you could just have unlimited drinks.
Wow.
That worked for a while.
That's like T2. I saw that. He was cracking an ATM. They got like $300 out to go to the arcade.
Oh,
That's like a young Brandin. It's like a young Brandin before he saves the world in, I think it's like 2030 T2 when they
I was living in 1990. I was living in 2030, bro. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. It's wild, the whole education system.
Yeah, good idea, John. I need some water.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we started drinking Mountain Valley water. I watched a Zac Efron Netflix special about water.
Wait, why is yours red and his blue?
So it's called Rich Man's Water. It's bubbly. So this is what
that's the sparkling,
That's the sparkling. It's Rich Man's water. He's drinking flat poor man's water. So.
This is so good, though.
This is Brita. This is Brita in here.
Listen, bro, I'm gonna convert you. You gotta go natural spring water, Mountain Valley. We've been through quite a lot.
Where's it from? What spring?
Arkansas.
Okay. I'm originally from Alaska, and we have the purest, most beautiful, cleanest air and water you could ever get.
Everything's perfect up there because nobody wants to live out there.
Except for mosquitoes in the middle of summer.
I would live out there.
The bat, yeah.
Were you in a place where it was dark most of the time?
Yeah, so I everywhere in Alaska in the summertime or in the winter time's dark. You get like maybe 4 hours of daylight in the wintertime. But I'm from a small town called Kenai or Soldotna on the Kenai Peninsula. In the summertime, I go back every summer. I hate the St. Louis heat, the humidity and all that such. So
you're in St. Louis.
Golf. Yeah, I fish, golf, camp, hang out with my dad and such. And but in the summertime you get 21 hours of daylight. So it's like midnight and you're on the golf course and it's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard there's some shit going on up in St. Louis with your government. Not doing too well.
There's always something going on in St. Louis.
I listened to Andy Frisella and his podcast, and he's out in St. Louis, and they were just complaining about like some of the stuff going on and the corruption out there. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't live St. Louis City. I live in county, so I don't have to deal with a lot of that.
Would you ever go back to Alaska?
Probably not to live there. I'd probably be, a snowbird or a blue jay is what we call, the folks that have a home up there for the summer and then live somewhere else during the winter. I could see myself doing that.
I looked
I want to go to Alaska so bad.
I was
Well,
looking at ranches out
I'll
there.
take you there. I'll be your official tour guide. I'll give you the trip of your lifetime.
I feel like if I go, I'd never come back. Except for when winter hit, I'd be like, I'm getting the hell out of this place.
No, bro, just give me a
You don't realize how big Alaska is. You look at it on the normal map, and it looks like it's Texas, but it's like what? How big is it? How much larger is it than Texas?
It's about the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much room.
Yeah.
It's crazy large. Yeah.
That's why I've settled on like Montana and Wyoming as a place that I'm gonna wind up at. So I feel like it's not all the way.
I'm going to go to Montana or Wyoming just to hunt for dinosaur fossils. That's a whole other story. I'm not going to get there. I know we got.
I feel like you need to come back in a couple months, and we'll do this like continued conversation because I would like to talk about Montana dinosaur hunting as well. I gotta close my door because my family just got home. Hang on.
Yeah. Do any of you have Discovery Plus?
No, well, maybe I don't think so. I watch Jack Hanna every night.
Okay, yeah. Discovery Plus has a show called Dinosaur Hunters. They're these guys that make a living finding dinosaur fossils in like Wyoming, South Dakota. Yeah, dude, like for millions of dollars. Damn. Like you find a T-Rex out there, you can sell that thing for like $7 million.
Oh, that explains it. I saw a show where it was on Yellowstone. They had fossils. They found dinosaur fossils, and then someone stole it. And I was like, why is anybody stealing this? Who gives a shit about this?
Yeah.
People want T-Rex fossils in their house.
That would be
modern day
cool.
millionaire. Crazy. All right, we don't have much longer, but I do want to go back to CallPorter here because I want to hear about the outbound service that you guys have started. Walk us through the thing, what it is, how it works, and then I have some questions / thoughts, and I'd love to learn some more about that.
Fractional lead manager.
All right, that's a fun name.
Yeah.
Well done.
So we started this service back in October of last year. You're not even going to find it on our website because at first we kind of hand selected or offered it to our current clients first. And then, obviously people were like, dude, I want that. But right now we'll offer 2 hours a day or 10 hours a week. So 40 hours a month of lead management within the CRMs of our clients. They get one dedicated phone rep.
Nice.
These investors are also able to train this rep, talk to them on the day-to-day, so they can essentially manage them in any way that they would like, as far as calling, texting, emailing, setting up drip campaigns, whatever they need to do inside the CRM. Not to confuse lead manager with executive assistant. So we've had to kind of talk to some of our clients like, hey, they're not like booking your flights to, an REI conference, like they're lead managers. And so, yeah, they'll spend a couple hours a day, on lead management and, hopefully getting some conversations that have, cooled off, getting the people to talk again and things of that sort. So, yeah.
So are these people are you guys like hiring / training differently, or are these people that are coming through your call center and you're like, you're great, so we want you to proactively call people?
Exactly. They are more seasoned reps that have been around. It's almost a promotion for them to go from the inbound to our lead management service.
Love it. Quality people. Yeah. I think that is a great service, and I've been we've started a new service at InvestorFuse called Concierge Onboarding, where I get involved in setting people's system up. And one of our biggest features is resurfacing, which enables you to mark a lead as dead, and then it comes back to life at a certain time point. And so I love the teams that have a junior acquisitions bucket or follow-up specialist bucket. And it's just their job to just dial through leads that had some value, but weren't ready. They tried to list it. They want to try and keep it, whatever it is. And it's just we got to touch back with them in a future time point. And, sure, put them on a sequence. That's all well and good. But really, we all know that, picking up the phone and dialing is what generates results. So I love this idea of being able to have somebody that 2 hours a day is just in charge of a bucket like that, to
re-warm up some leads and hand them back off to you. And most people like don't have the lead volume to need somebody to do that 8 hours a day.
Yep.
You know, they are either splitting somebody between two roles. So I love it to be like, hey, just do this for 2 hours a day. Go dial these 30 people a day or whatever it's going to be that they have time for.
You'd be amazed what you could get done in 2 hours. You know, I've done.
Yeah.
God knows I've done some like consulting with some other teams and looking at like how many dials they have. You know, and the biggest thing is like my team's not performing.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like this full shift person, but then throughout the day, their talk time's like 30 minutes. They've dialed like 80 people. And that's dials, not talking to.
I'd be making some changes.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people don't realize it because people are like, oh, you know, I'm dialing all day long. I'm working hard. I'm doing it. And they believe it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at it. Because John, I have 3 actually breaks down. Like it'll say talk time, you know, contacts, all that. And then same we use smartphone does it too. And it's like, let's look at your system.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, they only talk like 38 or whatever it is, 40 minutes a day. I'm like, how long do they work? Well, it's like a 6 or 8 hour shift. I'm like, the math's not computing to me. What are they like?
There's a rotary phone.
The day?
Right? Yeah. They got that one where you have to go like this and like put it up there.
Yeah. Oh, you ever do that? I saw getting sidetracked. I saw a meme where the dad bet his sons and bet them money. He put an old rotary phone, gave him a phone number, and said, and these were like teenagers, if you can dial this phone number, I'll give you this money. The 2 kids couldn't figure it out. Because there was like 2 of the same digit and they didn't know how to do it. Because you know you gotta go
Yeah.
The kids didn't know how to do it. I was dying. I sent it to my daughter. She's like, I wouldn't know how to do that either. I'm like, this generation.
Gotta watch those 70s movies.
But I guess what I was getting at was like, I have personally, when I institute talk time, I'll get on the phone and do it. And I've told John before, like, I'll have like a couple hours in my day where I could dial. I could dial more in 2 hours in my day than most of these other employees that people have do in a full 8 hour shift. Because when you have a task and you have a phone system and you have your CRM, it's not hard to get through all of those dials, have real convos, push them off, assign them, schedule appointments or whatever, and go through it. 2 hours is more than enough for most teams to get a hold of a lot of leads, especially if you're using, and I'm sure you guys are for this fractional lead manager, you're using like either a single multi-line type of dialer, but you're not doing one-off.
It depends on what the investor wants. If they want to be on an auto dialer where they're literally getting through the calls as quickly as possible, we can set it up that way. But we can also just do a single at a time and we're leaving voicemails kind of thing. So just whatever the investor wants.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So, I mean, at Investor Fuse, like we have this great feature for agents where you can restrict access. So, you know, these CallPorter outbound reps could only see the leads that are assigned to them. And, you know, security is a concern for most people. But systems wise, phone, like does the investor provide the phone system so that if like they call back on that number, it can get routed?
How does that do that?
So if we're going to attach the investor's marketing number to our outbound. So if they were to call back, we have a forwarding number that we give to the investor that they put into their call flow with their call provider, and it comes right back to CallPorter. So either way, it's just going to seem like there's a legit assistant within their office. But yeah, it's usually the phone provider of the investor that we are using.
Yeah. So I'm giving you, so I hire you and I'm like, yeah, 2 hours a day, baby. Let's do this. I'm giving you a login to my CRM, and I'm giving you a login and a phone number, whatever. A bunch of phone numbers and dialer access, all that to because I use smartphone, right? To my smartphone or my Zen call, whatever one it is, right?
Correct.
And your person has their own login, well, yours/mine, right? They have their own login, so I'm giving them all that. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the investor's got to sign a contract and stuff, and understands that like, hey, you are giving our phone rep a login credential and things of that sort. And that's the only time we ever get login credentials. On the inbound stuff, on the inbound stuff, we just connect with a web form link. So I know Investor Fuse has a web form link. That's how we pass the notes from the call over to the CRM.
What happens if I want more? What happens if
you can have it?
Yeah,
I just talked to somebody right before we got on this phone call. He's like, "Look, 2 hours a day is not enough for me. I want 4." And I said, "Great, we can set that up. You just got to pay twice."
Same rep or
So I was
What's that?
talking to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, is that the same rep for the 4 hours? Or they get 2 reps? Okay.
Yeah, same one.
Cool.
So I don't know if you've had this happen or if you've thought of it, but I had talked to somebody, and the name escapes me right now of how this conversation got brought up. But it's like, what if I train this person and I'm loving them, right? Like, and they're just doing a phenomenal job, and they're loving it too.
Mm-hmm.
And what if they have higher aspirations? Then they talk to me and they're like, Brandin, I want to be an acquisition rep for you. Like, this is nothing. This is easy. Can I buy that person out from you and say, hey, almost like a temp agency? Have you thought of that? Is that something
That's
do?
a good question. I do not have the answer to that.
Bro,
Yeah.
You're welcome, bro. You're welcome.
I know. Yeah.
New business line, new business profit center.
Let me write that on my. Oh, I don't have a whiteboard. Hold on.
Because I just figured if someone's, because you said I could train them, and it's not going to work out all the time, but you find that one person, they pick up the training well, you guys mesh together, and they're like, hey, listen, like, I would love to make even more money. I love working for you, but I work for, Vince over here. But is there a way that I could buy them out for a flat fee? Like, if this works, I give you 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is, right?
Right. Like a commission on a deal or
something, right? And then they now become employees of Real Offers Cash, and I'm done with CallPorter for that employee. And then maybe you fill the seat. I get a new lead manager from you. I keep my contract, but now I've added this new AC rep. And it's almost a way, I'm just spitballing here, almost a way to funnel, because that's kind of how my office works. We uptrain you from the cold caller to the follow-up specialist to an acquisition rep. And I was just thinking, like, that could be something, because it would suck if I fell in love with this rep.
I know.
And they have all the potential to be a closer, but like now they're stuck with you. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's
we have a rep that she does a phenomenal job, and someone actually did come to us and say, hey, I want her full time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just a conversation that he would have to have with our COO.
Yeah.
We
that'd be cool.
At the very beginning of Investor Fuse, however long ago that was now, 6 years ago, we, were new entrepreneurs, didn't know what we were doing. So we, for our support of our product, we went through a coaching company and hired their reps, which were trained in like automation. So they had some like knowledge of like systems and operations. And we loved 2 of them, and we literally had to buy them out. And we paid it because we're like, they're great. They know everything about our system. Like, I just want them. I know it's going to be expensive, and this is stupid to pay this
like
amount of money. Yeah, but I have to pay it because I don't want to lose them. And so,
but it's also like a trial error. Like, if Vince's company, they're taking on all this risk, and then like, I don't need to hire this person, and maybe that person doesn't even want to come to work for me. But if it does work out, and it's like that person's going to make me money, wouldn't I spend $2,500, $3,000, $5,000? I don't know, but I don't know if you remember, but there was a guy who was offloading his entire team, John. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Bidding war. I got into a bidding war. I tried buying 3 of them. I had to pay $5,000 a head. They were already trained. It was like the company was shutting down, but he didn't want his employees to go without jobs. So he sent out, I forget how I found the guy. Anyway, there was a bunch of company owners, and you got to like listen to all. It was like an auction. It was like one of those fucking dating auction things. And then you put a bid in, and I fucking lost. I didn't get fucking any of them. I was pissed. I'm not going to name names, but I asked the guy who 2 of the people went with or whatever, and he told me on the side. And then I ran into that guy who hired the 2 that I wanted, and he didn't know. So it wasn't like I was being a little bitch or anything.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, like, hey, do you remember that time? Like, how'd that work out for you? They get a lot of deals for you? And he's like, oh, man, like, we just realized virtual wasn't like the way to go. And we ended up offloading them, and we just focused on the office now. And in my head, I was like, you motherfucker. He outbid me and then got rid of them. And I was like, oh, damn. But something like that, man. I mean, that guy was charging $5,000 per head for a trained. I mean, they had already worked with his company. I forget for how long, but I don't know. We got way off topic.
Business ideas. Interesting business ideas.
He wrote it down. He wrote it down.
I
I
did,
hope to
I
see a
did.
fucking commercial about that. Okay, if you need
Oh,
me to
hey,
get like cameo,
I'm
fly out
writing
to
new
St.
ads
Louis.
right now. So
Yeah,
There you
I'll
go.
fly out to St. Louis, baby. I'll be in the commercial. Just let me know.
Oh man. Awesome. Well, hey, this has been an incredible conversation. We
Oh, yeah.
like to kind of end this up with just like random stuff, which we kind of intermingled throughout the entire episode. We even
Right.
talked about dinosaurs and water.
I
like
have that
usual.
effect on people. That's
No, it was great. It was amazing meeting you. I think like wrapping up the conversation, I think there's a lot of things we learned about CallPorter 24/7. Didn't realize that. I love how you guys were mixing it in, like dial your team and then use us as a backup. I think that's a great resource, especially for even people that are getting started and have the ability to not miss a phone call, have that backup. And then dialing inbound leads from web forms. I think that's phenomenal. Anybody that's doing organic or SEO should absolutely be using that.
Yep.
And then your new outbound service. Tie it in with investor views. They get restrict access, can't see all the other leads, and give them a smartphone line and dial through all of them. Love it. Any closing words, Vince? Anything else that you feel like we didn't learn about you, St. Louis, CallPorter, the world that you live in?
No, I mean, I think we hit it all. It was fantastic to be here and being part of the conversation, and would love to be on again sometime.
Yeah.
We do have a sister company. I'll throw this out there called Ballpoint Marketing. So if we ever want to talk about all things direct mail,
Let's do it.
I can certainly
We should do it. I would love to have some combos about direct mail.
Yeah.
I say that we enjoyed this conversation so much. We should just do it in April again about direct mail now. And
Down for that.
Let's do it. I'll probably have Justin, our CEO, on that call just because he's more of the master Jedi of direct mail. Could talk about it way better than I could. But we can definitely schedule that.
Love it. A new Let's Talk Real Estate show coming soon to a YouTube near you. Any closing thoughts, Carlos, Pop P?
Yeah, Carlos, you first. You got anything?
I was just curious, and we can make this quick, but just like the process for creativity and creating ads, because I think we all consider we all appreciate humor and love humor. Those are hilarious. And I know when we spoke last week, you're coming up with new ads. You said,
yeah.
But I'm curious what that process looks like for you, and because everybody these days is coming up with content or anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be humor based, but I'm curious what your process looks like there.
Yeah, so I think like any role that I've ever been in, like even as a teacher, I just always fell into video. Like I was doing ads and stuff for my school that I was working with, and really just trying to find a pain point of our ideal avatar and putting humor to it. Like there was an ad that I did. We filmed it in Pensacola, Florida. I don't know if you may have seen it or not, but I was buried up to my neck in sand.
Yeah.
And the whole tagline was like, buried up to your neck in day-to-day life. Like investors and agents are busy. They have tons of hats that they're wearing and they're doing all kinds of things. And it just really played into like, hey, we'll offload a portion of your day-to-day by taking your inbound leads, dealing with the tire kickers, dealing with the people who are cussing us out, and you focus solely on the deals that come through. Easy as that. And we just put humor to it. And the like using innuendos and I have this like ability to where when we do shoot ads, which our video team just boggles their mind. I can get into any place. So like an ad that's like, I needed a library. I don't know if you saw this one, and I had an amp and an electric guitar and I had this whole get up on. We needed a library because the whole thing was like, hey, it's not going to go as well as a rock solo in a library. So I just walked up in there. I was like, hey, I need like 30 minutes to shoot in an aisle of the library. And, they're looking at me like I'm an alien or something. And I would just convince them. And then I needed a church. So, we got a church and went in there and, sometimes it's just on the fly, like the locations that we need. But most of the time we're planning things out and getting inspiration. Obviously, there are other ads out there that are really, really good. And, just kind of like playing off what other people have done too, in certain ways. So yeah, it's all really fun. I freaking love it. And I am kind of obviously the Jake of State Farm, so to speak, the face of CallPorter.
Right.
And so when I have calls, there's people who are like, "Oh, you're that guy." I get that all the time. You're that guy. I see, and then they're like, "Your ads are really working. Can you just tell the guys like I'm targeted? Let's stop it." They just see me all the time.
It's a pixel, baby. You got your pixels working for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how one of the starting pieces is pain points, which I was going to kind of hit on earlier when you're talking to, like, if you get on a sales call, someone looking for CallPorter, it's like they're having some type of pain point around, answering phone calls from sellers. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But Papa P, let's close this thing out. What do you got?
All right, listen. Here's the deal. Sorry, I was rearranging something. Listen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I do want to put you on the spot.
Goodness.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen, John?
I can't see any
screen. My
screens.
screen.
Boom. There you go.
You are in an arena, Vince. It's life or death.
Man.
You have 50 hawks, 10 crocodiles, 3 brown bears, 15 wolves, 1 hunter with an unknown type of rifle, 7 buffalo, 10,000 rats, 5 gorillas, 4 lions. You get to pick 2 to defend you while the others attack you. The goal is to survive 1 hour. This is all the information you have to make that decision. Go.
Perfect. I'm from Alaska. 3 brown bears and 15 wolves, baby. They are going to defend me. And I'm going to go straight up Mowgli, and I'm going to be able to talk to them and be like, "You go here, you go there."
No, you can't add that in.
Well,
wait. But I don't understand, because I'm pretty sure 5 gorillas definitely beats 3 brown bears.
No, bro. No. You get 15 wolves on the gorillas, then they're taken care of. You get 7 wolves on the gorillas.
And what are you doing about the lions?
I said wolves, and I was made fun of. Like, these wolves are going to get killed so quick.
Real talk. Have you seen a wolf in person, or even just a stuffed wolf? They are massive. Like, think of a German Shepherd, but on steroids. Like, their paws are freaking massive.
I've seen wolf dogs before.
Yeah, wolves are dangerous animals, man.
Okay, but again, all they have.
What about the hunter?
Yeah, why did you not pick the hunter with a rifle to be sniping off all of the big threats? Boom, 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 boom. While you have either the bears, the gorillas, or the wolves doing the rest. Why did you not pick the weapon?
Well, you got to remember, I'm an Army veteran.
Uh-huh.
I know what it's like when you have a lot of people coming at you. One rifle is not going to do it, right? I spent 2 tours in Iraq, 2004 and 2005. One guy is not going to do it.
One guy's not going to do it. But hang on.
Good perspective.
No. But he made the assumption that Brittany did last week in the comments, where the guy's in the arena. We were making the assumption that the guy is sniping.
I saw that.
That's how we saw it. Was like he's on the edge of the arena. He's in a seat in the arena. Or maybe he scaled the fucking wall of the Coliseum and he's got some rope. Nobody said that. We don't have enough information. We don't even know what kind of gun this is.
Well, we didn't give Vince that thing that we were talking about. The arena itself is like Coliseum, like towards the end of Gladiator type movie. Like,
it's a big arena, which is why I picked 10,000. I picked the 10,000 rats in a hunter because I think the rats would swarm.
Yeah, dude, the rats would just eat right through a person. Just be like, you're like, yeah. I stick by 3 bears and 12 wolves. When you have this podcast with someone else, I need you to add an animal because it's serious.
What is it?
Moose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Those motherfuckers. How many moose?
Let's put a female moose and 2 babies. No, I'm serious.
Because that's like the power of 5 moose
and 2 babies. Because in Alaska, moose kill more people than bears, heart attacks, and car accidents combined.
They're angry. Is the plural version of moose meese?
Moose.
It's not
moose.
Meese,
Just still
like
moose.
Still moose.
Moose is.
Yeah.
Moose is.
Yep.
Moose is.
Interesting.
Meese.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
well,
I'm taking John to Alaska one day, so he's going to
Heck
experience all this
Love
stuff.
that.
Well, I'll tell you what, you
Heck
could,
yeah.
you could, if you ever get that business line up and running for that headhunting side of your business, I'll take a trip as payment for that idea. You let me know.
There you go.
I'm going up there, and if there's any bears that you want to fight, I'm ready. I'm ready
Yeah.
to go.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you,
I
Vince, for being here. This is a
appreciate
great conversation. We will
Love it.
absolutely have you back. And I would love to, Justin come on and we can talk some more direct mail. That would be
Perfect.
great other topic to talk about. If you all want to reach out to Vince, how do they contact CallPorter, Vince? What's the method to get to you?
Yeah. Let's just have them reach out to me, vince.hall@callporter.com. So that's VINCE.hall, HA hockey sticks at callporter.com.
Love it. Fantastic. Let them know that we sent you.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, guys. See you on the next one. Appreciate it.
Lock and
See you
load.
guys. Appreciate you, Vince.